There is a quiet tragedy that occurs in many of our lives, one that doesn't happen with a bang or a sudden explosion, but rather through a slow, steady erosion. It is the gradual wearing down of your spirit, your confidence, and your peace of mind by the very people who claim to care for you. We often cling to relationships, whether with family, old friends, or partners, out of a sense of history or obligation, ignoring the intuitive alarm bells ringing in the back of our minds. We tell ourselves that relationships require work, which is true, but we fail to distinguish between the hard work of growth and the exhausting labor of carrying a dead weight. Imagine your life as a fortress of peace. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realizing this is the source of your strength. However, when you voluntarily lower the drawbridge for individuals who consistently loot your emotional reserves, you are surrendering that power. Recognizing when a connection has mutated from a source of support into a source of suffering is not an act of betrayal, it is an act of survival. To protect your sanctity, you must learn to identify the subtle yet devastating currents that signal it is time to cut the cord, not out of malice, but out of necessity. One of the most pervasive yet often overlooked indicators of a corrosive relationship is found in the imbalance of resources, and this goes far beyond the mere counting of coins. It manifests in the person who consistently pleads poverty when it comes to shared experiences or obligations, yet seemingly has endless funds for their own indulgences. We have all encountered the financial illusionist. This is the friend who vanishes when the check arrives, claiming hardship, only for you to see them later flaunting a luxury purchase or an expensive solo trip. It is crucial to understand that the issue here is rarely about the money itself. If a friend were truly destitute, your empathy would be boundless. The toxicity lies in the calculation. When someone is comfortable spending on their own pleasures but becomes a miser when it involves you, they are sending a silent but deafening message. I value my comfort more than our connection. They view you not as a peer, but as a utility, a resource to be mined. This imbalance creates a dynamic where you are the eternal giver and they are the eternal taker. Over time, this does not just drain your wallet, it drains your self-respect, leaving you feeling used and undervalued. A relationship without reciprocity is not a partnership, it is a parasitic attachment. This parasitic nature often bleeds into the emotional realm as well, specifically with those who treat you as a dumping ground for their stagnation. We all need to vent, and being a shoulder to cry on is a noble part of friendship. However, there is a distinct difference between a friend seeking support and an energy vampire seeking a trash can for their complaints. You know this person. They approach you with the same set of worries, the same grievances about their boss, their partner, or their bad luck, day after day, year after year. When you offer solutions, they dismiss them. When you try to help them change their perspective, they revert to the negative. They are addicted to their own misery because it gains them attention, and they require you to be the audience. This is one of the most exhausting dynamics to maintain. You pour your energy into trying to lift them up, but they have no intention of climbing. They only want to pull you down into the pit with them. When you realize that a person is using your empathy to validate their refusal to grow, you must step back. You cannot save someone who falls in love with their chains. Continuing to listen to the same cyclical complaints doesn't make you a good friend. It makes you an enabler of their unhappiness and a saboteur of your own peace. The erosion of peace is not always passive. Sometimes it is aggressive and volatile. There are individuals whose presence feels like walking into a minefield. These are the people who seem to thrive on conflict, the argumentative architects.
They possess an uncanny ability to turn a casual dinner conversation into a heated debate, escalating minor differences of opinion into battles of ego. They do not listen to understand, they listen to reply, to conquer, and to prove themselves right.
Being around such a person puts your nervous system in a state of chronic fight or flight. They often drag you into their wars, forcing you to take sides in their petty disputes with others, demanding blind loyalty over objective truth. This behavior is a manifestation of profound insecurity. They need to dominate the external world because they lack control over their internal one. But you are not a soldier in their war. A relationship should be a safe harbor, not a courtroom where you are constantly on trial. If you find yourself silencing your true thoughts just to avoid an explosion, or if you feel physically exhausted after every interaction, the cost of admission to this person's life has become too high. This aggression often morphs into intellectual bullying, particularly regarding deep-seated beliefs. The beauty of human connection lies in our differences. The friction of different viewpoints often sharpens our own. However, the dogmatic enforcer sees difference as a threat. Whether it is politics, religion, or lifestyle choices, they cannot abide the fact that you view the world through a different lens. They do not want a dialogue, they want a monologue. They view your autonomy as a personal slight and will relentlessly try to convert you, shaming you for your choices or beliefs. When you are with someone who cannot respect your right to think differently, you are not being seen, you are being erased. True affection respects the sovereignty of the other person's mind. If every conversation feels like a sermon or an interrogation, you are being told that you are only acceptable if you are a clone of them. This is a rejection of your authentic self. You should never have to shrink your soul to fit inside someone else's narrow worldview. Perhaps the most painful realization comes not from conflict, but from the cold chill of indifference. There is a profound loneliness in sharing your deepest vulnerabilities with someone who simply does not care. This is the realm of the dismissive narcissist. You gather the courage to share a worry, a fear, or a hardship. Perhaps a parent is ill, or you are struggling at work. Instead of empathy, you are met with a glaze over their eyes, a hasty changing of the subject, or worst of all, a competition. They immediately counter with how much harder their life is, how much busier they are. This minimization of your experience is a form of emotional gaslighting. It suggests that your pain is trivial and your reality is secondary. Conversely, these same people often struggle to celebrate your wins. Watch closely who remains silent when you succeed. A person who cannot sit with you in your sorrow and cannot cheer for you in your joy is not a friend. They are a spectator waiting for you to fail so they can feel superior. Relationships are built on the foundation of being witnessed. If you are invisible in your pain and your joy, you are fundamentally alone in the relationship. This self-centeredness often manifests in those who live entirely in the rear-view mirror, the chronic boasters. While it is natural to be proud of achievements, there is a specific type of person who uses their past glory as a shield against present reality. They monopolize conversations with tales of who they used to be, the awards they won years ago, the status they once held. This excessive boasting is often a mask for a deep hollowness in their current life. While this may seem harmless at first, it creates a superficial dynamic where you are merely an audience member for their ego trip. There is no room for the present moment, no room for you, because the stage is crowded with the ghosts of their past. A connection built on the fragile foundation of someone's need for constant validation is destined to crumble. You deserve to be in a relationship with someone who is present, who is interested in who you are now, not who they were then. Then there is the issue of integrity, specifically regarding time and promises. Trust is the currency of all relationships, and the serial flake is a thief of that currency. We all run late occasionally, but the person who habitually breaks promises, misses appointments, or leaves you waiting at a coffee shop for an hour with a flimsy excuse, or no excuse at all, is displaying a fundamental lack of respect.
When someone constantly breaks their word, they are telling you that your time is less valuable than theirs. They are treating your existence as an option, a backup plan to be slotted in only when it is convenient for them. This behavior erodes your self-worth because it forces you to wait, to suspend your life in anticipation of theirs. You teach people how to treat you. By tolerating chronic unreliability, you are accepting the role of the afterthought. Walking away from such a person is not impatience. It is a declaration that your time is a non-renewable resource that deserves to be honored. Sometimes, however, there is no great conflict, no overt malice, and no broken promise. Sometimes there is just the drift. This is one of the most subtle yet powerful signs, the feeling of distress or heaviness before you even meet them. Listen to your body. Do you feel a knot in your stomach when their name pops up on your phone? Do you feel drained hours before the meetup? Do you leave their presence feeling exhausted rather than energized? This is your intuition screaming at you. People grow, and often they grow in different directions. The friends of your childhood or the companions of your college years may no longer fit the person you have become. This doesn't make them bad people, nor does it make you disloyal. It simply means the season of the relationship has passed. Trying to force a connection that has naturally withered is like trying to reanimate a dead flower. It only leads to frustration. There is a distinct sadness in outgrowing people. You may find that conversation feels forced, that you are performing a version of yourself that no longer exists just to maintain the status quo. You may realize that without the context of the past, the school, the old neighborhood, you have nothing in common. Acknowledging this is not a failure. It is an acceptance of the impermanence of life. It is okay to wish them well from a distance and to cherish the memories without being shackled to a corpse of a connection. Ultimately, the decision to end contact is a reclaiming of your own narrative. It is a stoic practice of curating your inner circle to ensure it aligns with your values and your peace. You are the average of the people you spend the most time with. If those people are draining, critical, unreliable, or self-absorbed, they act as anchors, holding you back from the waters you are meant to sail. Creating distance does not require a dramatic showdown. You do not always need to deliver a final verdict or a list of grievances. Often, the most powerful move is a quiet withdrawal, a gradual unhooking of your energy. You stop initiating. You stop offering yourself as a sacrifice to their ego. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. As you create this space, you may feel guilt. You may feel the sting of losing someone. But as the space opens up, you will notice something else filling it: silence, peace, and eventually new connections that are rooted in mutual respect, reciprocity, and genuine care. You will find people who celebrate your wins, who sit with you in the dark without checking their watch, and who view your time as just as precious as their own. Do not be afraid to be the guardian of your own well-being. Your life is too short and your spirit too valuable to be eroded by those who do not know how to hold it. Walk away from the chaos, the disrespect, and the indifference. Walk toward the people who make you feel more like yourself, not less. In the end, the most important relationship you will ever nurture is the one you have with yourself. make sure you're keeping it in good company.